All right, you degenerates, buckle up for this shit show. We're diving headfirst into the Cybertruck explosion in Vegas on New Year's Day. You've seen the headlines, right? Some nutjob self-detonated. But this shit's deeper than it looks. We're talking Matthew Livelsberger, a goddamn war hero turned walking bomb. And to break it all down, we got an expert with us today.
Well, it's definitely a complex case. We're talking about a decorated Special Forces soldier, chest full of medals, a guy who's seen some serious shit in Afghanistan and beyond, and then he blows himself up in a Tesla. So yeah, it raises some serious questions.
Oh shit, Sherlock. Let's cut the crap. The dudes who served with him said he was the real deal. A soldier's soldier, as they say. And then bam, full kamikaze in a Cybertruck outside a Trump hotel. What the hell happened?
It seems like a perfect storm of factors. The guy was battling PTSD, fresh off a brutal breakup, and just drowning in disillusionment with the government and the state of the world. Imagine a pressure cooker, cranked up to the max. And then boom.
So basically one pissed off motherfucker. We're talking about a guy who emailed a goddamn manifesto to a retired spook before the whole thing went down. Claims he was being watched because he knew about U.S. war crimes and some next-level drone tech. Then talks about escaping to Mexico. No mention of offing himself. Was this dude a paranoid schizophrenic or what?
Well, the escape plan does seem to clash with his actions. But the core of his accusations might have some weight. He specifically called out the 2019 airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan. The UN declared them illegal, but the U.S. swept it under the rug. Levelsberger claimed he was part of the cover-up, said hundreds of civilians were wiped out.
Right, like those ghost drones everyone was freaking out about last year. Coincidence.
It's a connection Levelsberger explicitly made. He claimed both the U.S. and China have this gravitic propulsion tech, basically anti-gravity shit, and that Chinese subs were launching drones off the Atlantic coast using it. Sounds like some sci-fi bullshit, right?
But rewind that anti-gravity tech. Are we talking about the kind of shit you see in those shitty sci-fi channel movies?
I know it sounds far-fetched, but remember, this guy had a top-secret SCI clearance. That's the highest level of security clearance you can get. They don't give that to just anyone. He was privy to some seriously sensitive information.
So you're saying this guy might have actually been onto something? That's some wild shit.
I'm not saying that definitively. What I am saying is that dismissing him as completely bonkers might be a mistake. We need to consider all possibilities.
All right, so we've got this potentially unstable soldier with top-secret clearance, claiming to know about war crimes and some futuristic anti-gravity bullshit, who decides to blow himself sky high in a Tesla outside a Trump hotel. And just to make things even weirder, the cops found letters on his burnt phone that seemed to contradict the whole escape plan in his manifesto. What the hell was in those letters?
The letters are a whole other layer of this messed up onion. They depict a man wrestling with his actions in war, feeling trapped by a government he sees as weak, and ultimately looking for some twisted form of redemption.
Let me guess. He's praising Trump, Musk, and RFK Jr., right? Talk about a mixed bag of nuts.
That's right. He admires these powerful figures while feeling betrayed by the systems they represent. It's a reflection of a larger trend we're seeing, particularly among veterans. This disillusionment with the establishment, this yearning for strongman figures who promise to shake things up. It's a dangerous cocktail.
So this guy's a walking paradox.
Yeah.
Part patriot, part anarchist, with a dash of conspiracy theorist thrown in for good measure. What a clusterfuck.
It's more like a pressure cooker of conflicting emotions and ideologies. He's grappling with his past, his ideals, and the state of the world, all while struggling with the invisible wounds of war. It's not a simple black and white situation.
All right, so we've got the explosion, the manifesto, the war crimes, the anti-gravity mumbo-jumbo, and these cryptic letters. Where the hell does this all leave us? What are we supposed to make of this whole goddamn mess?
We're left with more questions than answers, that's for sure. But one thing is clear. This wasn't just a random act of violence. Levelsberger was clearly battling some serious demons, saw the world going to shit, and felt powerless to stop it.
So he decided to go out with a bang. Literally. But did anyone actually get his message? Or was this just another crazy news story that people will forget about in a week?
That's where the media comes in. How they frame this story, what details they choose to focus on, all of that shapes public perception. It's a tightrope walk between sensationalism and genuine understanding.
Right, because if they focus too much on the crazy bomber angle, they risk missing the bigger picture. The systemic failures, the mental health crisis among veterans, the growing political divides. Like, everyone's so fixated on the explosion itself that they forget to ask why the bomb was built in the first place.
Precisely. We can't afford to simplify complex stories like this. We lose sight of the human element, the individual struggles that lead to such a desperate act, and in doing so, we fail to learn from it.
Damn, that's some heavy shit. It makes you wonder how many other ticking time bombs are out there, right? Just waiting for their moment to go off.
It's a sobering thought, and one we need to address as a society. We can't ignore the warning signs, the cries for help that are often masked by anger and violence.
So what are we supposed to do? Just wait for the next explosion and then analyze the hell out of it?
No, of course not. We need to be proactive. Address the root causes of this despair. We need to provide better support for veterans, have honest conversations about our foreign policy bridge, the political divide that's tearing us apart.
Sounds like a fucking headache to me. But I guess you're right. Someone's got to try to fix this mess. But there's one more piece of this puzzle we need to discuss. And it's a real mindfuck. Remember how Livelsberger mentioned using ChatGPT to help him plan this whole thing? Hold the fucking phone. AI is helping people blow shit up now. What the fuck is going on with the world?
It's a terrifying prospect, isn't it? And it raises a whole new set of ethical and existential questions.
Yeah, like, are we all just pawns in some giant AI game now? Is this the beginning of the robot apocalypse?
I don't think it's that simple. But what this case highlights is the potential for AI to be used for some seriously messed up shit. And that's something we need to be prepared for.
So what we need to start teaching AI about right and wrong. That seems about as effective as teaching a brick to sing.
It's not about teaching AI right from wrong. It's about understanding how these technologies can be misused and developing safeguards to prevent that from happening. We're dealing with tools of immense power, and we need to learn how to control them before it's too late.
So we're basically playing catch-up with our own creations. That's just fucking great. We've got a suicidal war vet, government conspiracies, anti-gravity bullshit, and now rogue AI. This episode's a real bingo card of fucked up shit.
It highlights the convergence of several critical trends, all colliding in a spectacularly messy way. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We were talking about the letters Livelsberger left behind. They paint a very different picture compared to the manifesto, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, less conspiracy rant, more personal meltdown.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to reconcile his inner demons with the demons he sees in the world.
Precisely. The manifesto is about exposing the truth, while the letters are about confronting his own guilt and disillusionment. In the manifesto, he's the whistleblower, the hero fighting against a corrupt system. In the letters, he's the broken soldier seeking atonement.
So which one is the real Livelsberger? Or are we dealing with some kind of Jekyll and Hyde shit here?
I don't think it's about multiple personalities. It's about a man wrestling with incredibly complex emotions. Remember, the manifesto was likely written earlier, when he was still clinging to the idea of escape, of revealing the truth and starting a new life. The letters, however, were written just days before the explosion, suggesting a shift in his mindset.
Like he'd accepted his fate and was looking for a way to go out in a blaze of glory.
More like a desperate attempt to reclaim some sense of agency, some control over a world that felt increasingly chaotic and hostile.
Let's not forget the political angle. This guy was praising Trump Musk RFK Jr. It's like he was trying to build a Frankenstein's monster of political ideologies.
It's fascinating, isn't it? On one hand, he's drawn to these powerful iconoclastic figures who represent a break from the status quo. On the other hand, he's deeply disillusioned with the systems they represent.
So he blows himself up in a Cybertruck. Subtle.
It wasn't about subtlety. It was about making a statement, forcing people to pay attention to the things he believed were wrong with the world.
Yeah, well, he definitely got people's attention. But did he actually change anything? Did his message resonate with anyone, or was this just another act of senseless violence?
That's the question we need to grapple with. Did he achieve anything through his actions? Or was this a tragic act of self-destruction that ultimately changed nothing?
It's hard to see how blowing yourself up could be seen as anything other than a giant fuck you to the world.
Perhaps. But we need to remember that Livelsberger was a product of his experiences, his beliefs, and the society that shaped him.
So we're back to the whole society is to blame argument. I'm not sure I buy that. People are responsible for their own actions.
I'm not saying society is solely responsible, but we can't ignore the role that systemic failures, cultural narratives, and political polarization play in shaping individual actions.
Oh, right, fine. Point taken. But let's get back to the AI thing.
Yeah.
That's the part that really creeps me out. Are we seriously saying that ChatGPT helped this guy plan his suicide bombing? That's some next-level shit.
It's certainly a disturbing development. While the exact nature of ChatGPT's involvement is still under investigation, it raises some profound questions about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence.
Yeah, like what happens when AI becomes more intelligent than us? Are we just handing the keys to the kingdom over to a bunch of algorithms? Are we going to end up as batteries in some Matrix-style dystopia?
It's not about AI becoming more intelligent than humans. It's about the potential for these tools to be misused to amplify existing biases and to facilitate harmful actions.
So we need to put AI on a leash. Give it a timeout. How the hell do we control something that's constantly learning and evolving?
It's a complex challenge. We need to develop robust ethical frameworks for AI development and deployment. We need to ensure that these systems are aligned with human values and that they are used for good, not for harm.
Easier said than done. We can barely agree on what constitutes human values, let alone program them into a machine. This whole thing feels like a runaway train, and we're just hanging on for dear life.
It's certainly a challenge, but it's a challenge we can't afford to ignore. We need to engage in open and honest conversations about the potential risks and benefits of AI. We need to be proactive, not reactive.
All right, so what's the solution? Do we ban AI research? Shut down the internet? Go back to living in caves and hunting with spears?
I'm not advocating for technological regression, but we need to be more mindful of the tools we create and the power they wield. We need to anticipate potential consequences and develop safeguards to mitigate risks.
Sounds like a lot of bureaucratic bullshit to me.
It's not about bureaucracy. It's about responsibility. It's about understanding that the choices we make today will shape the world of tomorrow.
Well, that's a sobering thought. So where do we go from here? What's the takeaway from this whole Cybertruck explosion AI conspiracy clusterfuck?
The takeaway is that we're living in a world of increasing complexity and interconnectedness. Our actions have far-reaching consequences, and the technologies we create can be used for both good and evil.
So we've covered a shit ton of ground here. This Livel's burger case is like a goddamn onion. Every layer just reveals more fucked up shit. Where do you think this whole AI thing is headed? Are we all going to end up as slaves to our robot overlords?
It's not about robots taking over. It's about the subtle ways AI is already shaping our lives, our choices, our perceptions of reality. We need to be more aware of these influences, more critical of the information we consume.
Yeah, but how do you fight an algorithm? These things are designed to manipulate us, to feed our biases, to keep us glued to our screens. It's like we're all living in some kind of Truman show. But instead of a giant dome, we've got a digital cage.
It's not about fighting the technology. It's about understanding it. It's about developing a healthy skepticism, about cultivating our own critical thinking skills. We need to be active participants in this digital landscape, not passive consumers.
So less scrolling, more thinking. Got it. But let's be real. Most people are too busy chasing dopamine hits to worry about the existential threat of AI. They'd rather watch cat videos and argue about politics on Twitter than actually engage with the real world.
That's precisely why this conversation is so important. We need to break through the noise to make people understand the stakes. This isn't just about some abstract philosophical debate. It's about the future of our species.
All right, so we're all going to die if we don't start paying attention to AI. Got it. Any other cheerful predictions for the future?
It's not about predicting doom and gloom. It's about recognizing the potential consequences of our actions, both individually and collectively. It's about making informed choices, about demanding transparency and accountability from those who wield power, whether it's governments, corporations, or the algorithms that shape our digital lives.
Well, that's a tall order. Sounds like a lot of work. Maybe I'll just go back to ignoring reality and watching Netflix.
That's certainly an option. But I believe we're capable of more than that. We have the power to shape the future, but only if we choose to engage with it.
All right, folks, there you have it. A call to action from the expert himself. Put down the remote mint, pick up a book, and start thinking critically about the world around you. And for God's sake, keep an eye on those algorithms. They might be watching you.
Indeed. This deep dive has been a journey into the heart of darkness. But it's also a reminder that even in the face of chaos and despair, there's always hope. Hope that we can learn from our mistakes, that we can make better choices, that we can build a better future. A future where Cybertrucks explode for the right reasons, like electric dreams and not shattered psyches. Keep those questions coming, you beautiful degenerates. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and until next time, stay wild.